Greetings. I thought I'd make another video. Very interesting video I watched on a channel called A Plain Truth for You, which is entitled The Vast Great Tatarian Free Energy Healing Centres, and try and get the rest of the title to come up, and Sources Disclosed. And I would recommend that all of you go and have a look at that because it explains so much. Now, I've spoke about our true power, and as you know, we are, I think it's something in the region of 87% water. Well, what is interesting is water can be restructured, and water also holds memory. Now, it's clear from what is coming out on the truth-seeking side is backing up what the spiritual side knows, and also when we think in terms of frequency and sound and vibration, the geometric patterns that can be created with water, and also in its frozen state as ice as well, how that can change from being very clear to very cloudy. It's all fantastic the way this is all coming together. Now, you can go out and you can believe all the fear porn about things, and I don't say that a lot of these things that are put out there have very real outcomes and significance, but I have taken the step of distancing myself from all the news because it is a mixture of truth but designed to divide and conquer and cause fear, and that is what we're trying to avoid. So I've been looking inwardly rather than outwardly at this, because it is no good us fighting back with fear. For example, you don't fight fire with fire. So I've looked at basically the two sides seem to be benevolence and magnetism as opposed to darkness and electricity. And I think, I'm very confident that I know which is the better of the two and which is the far more powerful, and one that will benefit more people, and the more people that it does benefit, the better. But we've also got to think about the situation with this waking people up. It seems to be that there are a lot that just are not going to wake up for all sorts of reasons. All we can do is just plant seeds and then move on. It's not worth continuing, or leave it for a while and then see if anything has resonated and see what they come back with, and then throw a question back to them and let them feel like they're in control. There's a possibility that there might be a few that wake up. But when we think about awakening, there is distinct aspects to this. You have the purely spiritual, the higher senses, shall we say, and then there is the common sense, which is another aspect. As Quantum of Consciousness channel pointed out, this whole thing with the buildings, it does indicate that we have been lied to about history. So there is an awakening based on knowledge and looking at history. And I think that's very important, because if we don't learn from our past experiences, then we're not going to be prepared. We need to be balanced between the benevolence and the logic with everything. So it's worth keeping just a general overview. I'm not saying necessarily go into any great detail, and likewise I wouldn't say it's a hard and fast rule of, oh, don't look at this. There are people who are looking at specific things, and very grateful to them because they have done some very good research, and it saves the rest of us all having to do the same thing and double up. Yes, of course, is controlled opposition, but even within that, there is half truth and half lie. So it's not a clear cut dismiss of anything. But when we think about this awakening, I've had people say to me, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Well, some of you are coming from the spiritual side, some of you are coming from more from the truth seeking side, and possibly, and only you know the answer to this. What if you were put in the opposite position? What if you were a person who is entirely spiritual and sees from that side of things, but you were shown things from the truth seeking side? Would you have rejected it, or would you have embraced it and used it as a basis to find out more? Because I don't think we can dismiss one or the other, because at the end of the day, we're all on the same side. Looking into the past and trying to get to the truth also opens up how spirituality works and how the human body works, because everything is all connected together. We are mind, body and soul. So it is, I like this to be in this position of looking at the spiritual and also looking at the truth seeking, because I do think the two things go hand in hand. I don't want to dwell on the negative aspects at all, don't get me wrong. I've looked into things and there does seem to be indications something is going to happen soon. But I have shown that by channeling healing on numerous occasions, and I know some of you out there can also do this, that it does manifest in a very positive way in a physical sense. That can be anything from broken bones to healing from cancer and now a coma. There is no limits to this. That is not to say everybody is going to have this ability, or you'll have varying degrees of this ability. But it doesn't mean that those of us that can do this are better than anybody else, because think about the way the picture is painted on this being a make or break on humanity. You may have a set of skills that you may not even realise yet that will be of benefit to come later on. So don't feel that any of us are any better or any lesser than anybody else, because this is unconditional love. This is a side of benevolence, and there is no exclusivity about this. It is universal. Now, another subject I'd like to talk about is these asleep people. It does seem to be that there's almost a cloud goes over their eyes, or something in their brain just clouds over or switches off. And who's to say that with all this talk of this nanotechnology being able to be put through a syringe, say for a vaccine, then that's maybe why these people won't wake up. But there's no point wasting energy on trying to wake them up. Clones will be clones no matter what. But I think it's better to distance ourselves as much as possible from them, because my reality, personally speaking, does not include so much that is going on in the world, and I cannot verify any of it. I would imagine that you can't get a flight to somewhere where there is conflict as a tourist or a holiday maker. They just won't allow you to fly. So how can we really verify anything? We only have each other's word for it. But I want to end this on a positive note. There's always questions, but not often is there answers and solutions to things. Well, fantastic. Nicole from Stellar Vision YouTube channel. She used to do meditations in a Facebook group she started, and has now moved across to a what potentially wider audience on YouTube, and that's every Wednesday 9 o'clock London time. And there's nothing to say that if that's not a convenient time, that we can't, between us, form into little clusters, as it were, because we all follow different channels, we all follow different groups. Um, some resonate more than others, and we are like atoms in a way, where we cluster around a nucleus. We're only replicating what is happening within our own bodies in our cell. I'll get the word right. Our cell structure, and it would be a lovely idea that if we could, between us, our collective energies of channeling these positive thoughts and push them out. There are some groups who are already doing this, but it's something we can expand on because it really does make a huge difference. The thing with the positive side, it's not dramatic. It's not like these Marvel superhero films. It's not instantaneous, but it does manifest and it does work. And it is founded on unconditional love. It's not founded on illusion, which the dark side is. So they haven't built their premise on a solid foundation. And what is also happening is cracks are starting to appear. There are glitches happening with this AI matrix. The fact that people are waking up, and in increasing numbers, should show this anyway. It remains what is going to happen, but I feel we have the best opportunity is by working from the spiritual side rather than try and approach from any other side, and certainly not in three-dimensional, because the spiritual power is higher and it is stronger, and it seems to be able to come through into three-dimensional, but I don't know of anything that is able to get out of three-dimensional. So there's some things to think about, and I think we can really make a big difference with this. So I'd like to end that there on this happy note, and please leave your comments, and maybe we can start forming into different groups, maybe with some overlaps. The more the better. It could be as little as 4 people, it doesn't matter. It's the collective energy, and because it is coming from a place of benevolence from our heart, that is the most important thing, because that is the true seeing. Anyway, I will say ta-ta for now. Thank you.